Next on board we have Mr. Ramesh Kesanupalli. He's the co-founder of FIDO Alliance and founder of Knock Knock Labs Inc. Currently, let me just sort of spend a couple of minutes on his introduction. Currently, he is working as a founder and chief alliances officer at Knock Knock Labs, a company which is developing multi-factor authentication products built to provide, of course, ease of use, security, and it's quite consistent user experience across devices and across online destinations. Supporting the FIDO consortium. So a little bit about FIDO here. He's also the original founder and author of the OSTP protocol, which is the basis for the fast identity online FIDO security consortium, standardizing online authentication protocol and working with industry leaders like PayPal, Google, Lenovo, Infineon, NXP, and many more. So Ramesh has also been an author of the original protocols and initiated the foundation and the consortium himself. So I think we are in great company for the next talk. So Ramesh, without further ado, welcome to the stage. Thank you. Please a big round of applause for Ramesh.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to speak into the microphone. And in the interest of time, I'm going to keep it simple and keep it quick. So, since morning, I've been, a lot of people have been speaking about IoT, and unlike earlier days where internet was used for information access and email access, and the world is changing, and right now it's becoming a lifestyle. When you are at home, you are connected. When you get out of the home to go to office, you are connected in the car is connected, and day-to-day life, Fitbit, this and that, life is connected, everything is connected. So in this scenario, unlike earlier where we use internet for informational access, if our email is down or if we cannot get onto a Bank of America site, it's inconvenience for 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, we'll go on and get it over with. In the new IoT world, if we actually don't secure things properly, it goes beyond inconvenience. It becomes a life disruption. If you see the landscape of internet, where earlier we use logging into the servers and getting the access to the information, nowadays everything is connected to internet, including wireless LANs, telephones, Bluetooth speakers, everything. And if you see the landscape, there are only 3 or 4. It's not that difficult to do IoT or internet security. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple actually. The only thing is user authenticates to a device. Device actually can go to a server and get the information, or device can operate another device if it is a wireless home environment, or it could be a service to service in case of any authorizations or federations that you are trying to do. There is not a lot to it. It is user to cloud, user to device, device to device, and device to cloud. These are the 4 things. Like in the security professionals, whenever they talk about attack trees, threat modeling, what exactly they're trying to address. That's how security gets evolved. And if you see in the broader world, these are the things that are there. There's not much to do. But when you move towards Internet of Things vector, the attack vectors become very, very wide, and they become very, very big, and they big in numbers too. So this is how the attack gets. I mean, if you see Estonia, day before yesterday, the attack that happened, the infrastructure came into knees, and attack points are different. That was a typical DDoS attack. It could be much worse than that. These are some of the attacks that happened just in last 1 year. It's only going in one direction. It's very, very real right now. The context is, if you consider what you're trying to do is as a home has independent, different rooms. Rooms can be secure, but there will be only one main door. The user enters into the home through a main door. Inside the home, you can have as much security as you want. You can have walls. You can have basically a locker that a bank will provide. You can have as much security as you want. but the entry point is always going to be the front door. If you don't secure that, I mean, there are different ways they get to it. And to secure independent and various parts of internet, ARM has done a pretty decent job. In an ARM architecture, if you guys see, ARM has a trust zone, which is a pretty extensive secure environment to write a piece of code and secure it. And I would actually say that any IoT device that we try to do, embrace the ARM. Any sensor that you see, a smoke detector sensors to a home wireless LAN to anything that you take, they're all based on ARM architecture anyway. ARM has trust zone. There are nice execution environment, and it is hardware protected. We can actually put the main functionality of what a IoT device does into that particular trust zone, and make sure you have proper signing done for the code that is running in there. And then you see how you can protect the front door. If you see, most of the devices, whether it is a wireless LAN that we have at home, or a Bluetooth speaker that we want to operate, or in a Bluetooth light that comes there, every one of them, entry point is always some ID and a password. So that is the entry point for anything that you want to do. Even the Democratic National Committee attacks that happened in the United States, Estonia attack that happened on the SCADA systems, the first mile is always user ID and password. Some employee will be there and he will go to ilovepizza.com and he create pizza.com wants to see, make your profile, and then make sure next time when you come, they want to make sure they know what you order. So they ask you to put a user ID and password. You put a user ID and password. Unfortunately, use the same password to go to your bank or your home. And most of us, when we're setting up our wireless routers at home, I'm sure your network password is your either son's Hawaii name or wife's name or brother's name. This is common. There is nothing wrong with it. And anything that we do, it's the most commonly guessable things that we try to do. And ilovepizza.com really don't care what your password is, and they'll put a text file, put it on FTP site. Somebody can download that. And then same. If you see Yahoo attacks that happen within 2 weeks after Yahoo attacks, between Wells Fargo and Bank of America, you probably saw close to about 35 to 40% of those identity and user ID passwords were used to address and log into the systems. Such is the problem that we have with respect to user identity. So they talked about various things. Now let me talk about what we do. So FIDO stands for Fast Identity Online. So what we believe is, from between the devices, we work very closely with hardware manufacturers and hardware vendors and chipset designers and all those people, where you can actually designate trusted execution environments, run the code there. But if you're vulnerable in the front end where you have user ID password, it's going to be really difficult. So the protocol actually originally was written by me in 2009. That's called Fast Identity Online. 2011 is when we started as a working group. And the two other co-founders with me on the Fast Identity are, one was a gentleman by name Tahir El-Gamal. Tahir El-Gamal was the inventor of SSL. And the other gentleman who was with me was Michael Barrett. He was the CISO of American Express and PayPal. So three of us started this FIDO Alliance. The idea specifically is, when you want to access to a particular website, you prove yourself to a device. Device then does prove to the backend cryptographically, whether it is a device or a service. It proves cryptographically who it is. It's very simple concept. Each time when the other end wants to actually authenticate you, they throw a random challenge each time. When they throw a random challenge each time, you create FIDO response to that, Fast Identity Online response. This particular response will be signed by user when he proves himself to the device by any biometric, or it could be a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter, because the root of trust is actually standing on three terms here. One is the user, second one is the device, third one is the service provider or other device. It's primarily you are in a way simulating a point-to-point network on Ethernet. That's a very significant point here. Anytime the backend wants to authenticate you, it throws a random challenge to your device. Device then responds to the challenge based on what user authenticates to, who is the user that is authenticates to you. That is the basic principle. And since we started the alliance back in 2011, 2013 is when we announced FIDO Alliance in RS Security Conference. And today the alliance has about 275 companies. And there are 38 board members in the industry. And if you take out Apple, it's easier for me to say from core technology providers, it's easier for me to say who is not in the alliance. That's only Apple. Except Apple, everybody's in the alliance. Intel, ARM, who actually provide the chipsets, processing chips. Microsoft and Google, who are the operating system providers. Google is the president. Microsoft is the vice president. I am the vice president and founder of the alliance. In addition to operating system people and those people from the financial institution standpoint, American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, all of them are there. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they are there too. You have security chips providers like NXP, Qualcomm, all those people are in the industry. There were 38 board members and 275 alliance members. Windows 10 is FIDO. Azure Active Directory is FIDO. Google Apps is FIDO. W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, is actually embracing the FIDO protocol. It's going to actually be part of browser spec. The spec is going to be published anywhere in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So this is what FIDO Alliance is. And with respect to government endorsements with FIDO, NIST is part of FIDO. UK government, European Union, German, Australian, Israeli, China, Japan, Korea, all those governments are part of FIDO Alliance. And the German government actually went to another extreme where they have actually taken their EID, National ID Citizen Program, and they use that National ID to create a derived credential into a cell phone. And now the cell phone becomes the identity. The three pillars primarily FIDO provides, and part of the reason why this got so much traction in the world is one is obviously the security. Second one is the ease of use. The user to prove himself, it could be a single touch, single blink, or a single phrase. He can speak into the microphone, or he can look into the camera and blink. He can actually touch the fingerprint sensor. In any of those forms, he will prove himself. And one more thing that governments really liked this one, FIDO, there is extreme level of privacy. Because the user, when he wants to register himself to various service providers or various devices or various services, for each one of them, when he goes through enrollment process, for each one of them there is a separate private key that is generated in the device, and a public key that is created for that particular service is sent to the server. So today if you go to makemytrip.com and book a ticket to Mumbai, next thing you would know, within 5 minutes you will get a hotel advertisement in facebook.com. The trackability is too much. With FIDO, you really, there are no cookies there, and the only way you authenticate is using the asserting yourself who you are. That releases actually the private key that is in the hardware, and that creates the response and signs the challenge and sends it to the server. Each time when the user when the service wants to authenticate you, the challenge changes each time when it wants to authenticate you. So in essence, what happens is, today every hacker is motivated to go attack on the server side because he gets millions of users account details. If you flip it, make it from client to the server, if you flip the authentication in the post FIDO world, if somebody goes and attacks the server, all they will get is a bunch of public keys which have no meaning unless they have the private key. For a hacker, if he wants to make any sense out of any of the public key for that identity, Only way you can do that is coming back and steal your device too and your biometrics too. Otherwise, it's of nonsense. That is how tight it is done, and usability is at the center of what we have done. There are close to about 3 billion devices in the market today that can be FIDO turned on right away. If you see Japan, 95% of Docomo phones are FIDO enabled. Like I was mentioning, Windows 10, if you buy, that's FIDO. Samsung has FIDO at its core. Intel has in their SGX platform full FIDO there. The reason I'm mentioning is that since morning I've been hearing a lot of tracks here. Some of the issues that we're discussing are being addressed. They are there. The people are addressing that. We don't have to take them and then reinvent the wheel. There is no point reinventing the wheel. These standards are available. Everybody in the ecosystem, everybody in the chain, they are doing their own heavy lifting. And when you're doing heavy lifting, we might as well, depend on them. Particularly if you consider the context of India, we have something that is very unique that nobody else in the world has. That is Aadhaar database. The conventional, each time when I come here, FIDO did not focus on India till now. Only 6 months ago, I started FIDO Alliance India working group. We are a few handful of people that are working on. We talk to each other once in 2 weeks or something. The thing that India has, unlike the way that government is trying to push how FIDO should be used, if you flip it where you say, we use the Aadhaar database for actually doing the KYC process. Once the KYC process is done, I would actually derive the credential from the Aadhaar, put it on his cell phone. Now, the cell phone, which has a normal fingerprint sensor or no fingerprint sensor, no biometrics, could be a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. I can actually give you my PIN for my phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, go use it. But unless you have my phone also, you can't do anything with me. This is, when you flip it, what happens is, if you really want to attack, there are no global attacks anymore in the post-FIDO world. Only way attack can happen to you is somebody comes and drags your fingerprints, also drags your devices. So when somebody wants to target you to attack you, they can do a lot worse than that, stealing your user ID password. So if you see, the industry actually is, most of the things that we have to do in the Internet of Things are being addressed in the market. Don't reinvent. It's there, take it. What you have in India, which no one else in the world has, and all of them are trying to solve the same problem. Equifax was attacked just 10 days ago. Government panicked in US and they said, how do we solve this? Every place you go, social security number is there. Now, the first people they called was FIDO Alliance. How do we solve this problem? European Union, PSD2, banking regulation, they were having trouble about the same thing. Now FIDO is part of their. Part of the reason that they are doing it is, they are embracing FIDO is, one is privacy, second one is ease of use, third one, various pieces of FIDO algorithm. The most of the heavy lifting is done by somebody else. If I am Samsung, I'm actually providing that functionality. Just go use it. Don't reinvent stuff. And on the server side, you have spec is published. We have 2.0 spec coming up. It's going to be W3C, part of W3C in another few weeks. Just exploit the hell out of it. Show the rest of the world how a true cyber security is done. No one else in the India can do. No one else in the world has Aadhaar database. If I want to operate a car, if I want to operate my home network, if I want to operate my thing, only one device is authorized. Me and my family, the phones of my family. How do we establish the initial thing? When I'm registering, go eKYC myself to the Aadhaar database and derive the credentials to the phone. Let phone be the identity. That's how, if we can actually take the real identity that is in Aadhaar, put it into virtual identity in the cell phone, you may have 7 different Facebook accounts. But once you KYC that, any cyber crime that happens, that phone will tell you who is the real identity behind it. It's there. That's the problem the rest of the world is trying to solve. German government wanted to solve the problem. They are little bit ahead of rest of the world. That's why they just took the. You can actually take the KYC EID national ID card from German. Take your phone, just scan into that. Now you have the details. Go to a DMV or go to a welfare scheme. Go to any place where there is a government officer is there. Just do KYC there because they don't have other database. That's the only way they could do KYC. Once that KYC is done, the phone number and the app that is there is the real identity of the person. Today, German government started delivering their welfare schemes onto the phone directly. This is something. Instead of putting people to that level, India can actually showcase that. Hey, here we have built it here. Now, conventionally, fingerprint technology or iris technology is not really new. It's not. This has been there for a long time. Cogent Systems is the Rolls Royce of fingerprinting. If you see any of the fingerprinting biometric authentication is done, anytime when you want to do server-side biometrics, operator-assisted way is the only way that is the right way to do it. Anytime when you don't have operator-assisted way, it is prone to problems, prone to fraud. And on top of that, you really, 3 days ago I was trying to test Aadhaar database was down. 3 hours I had to wait. It's a single point of failure. You're sending the biometric templates back and forth. Do it in an operator-assisted environment, in a controlled environment. Once the guy has derived that, let him use the way he wants. If in that model, what you will have, instead of having a 2 million, 3 million Aadhaar certified POS terminals, KYC device out there, now you are actually turning into every cell phone, every smartphone that is in every person's hand into a Aadhaar compliant device. They don't need anything extra. You have the device. You have now a real derived identity on the phone. If he has 7 different accounts, he's screwing around on the internet, you know who that is. All it takes is, this is the real identity, he can go and log on. The other advantage that you have with FIDO protocol is, because there are no passwords, if somebody wants to go somewhere and then hack into your account, there is nothing to hack into, because the starting point is not there. User ID, password, and your device are not there. So I just wanted to touch that, and there are any questions, I can answer it later, but briefly that's what I want to talk to. The final point is, some of the issues that I've been hearing since morning, these are being addressed in a very global way. Privacy, security, ease of use, all these things are being addressed in a much bigger way, in an open standards way. Security should never be done in a proprietary way. Security, that's part of the reason security industry is where it is today. 30 years later, it is extremely fragmented. Do anything that you're doing, open standards way. Let the industry help you. Let the heavy lifting be done by various people who are in that chain. You cannot say my server is very secure, client is bad. You can't say my client is very secure, server is bad. You just have to make sure end-to-end is secure. And for that, people actually are thinking, acting, standards are available, working models are available. Just embrace and enhance. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, may I request you to be on stage for a minute, please? I request Dr. Gulshan Rai. He's the Chief of Cybersecurity at the Prime Minister's Office, of course, Government of India. Sir, may I request you to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Ramesh?